My wife particularly loves watching those marketing accounts. She believes in the content without a doubt. She often likes to bring what she sees into real life. For example, one time she asked me, "There are 8 Swiss rolls. How would you divide them? You always come home so late after work. Have you been dropping off your female colleague? Our daughter always loves to act cute. Is she trying to get your attention on purpose?" I kept quiet and didn't say anything until she saw a video about the relationship between kindergarten teachers and parents. Our daughter was hit and her face turned red. She questioned our daughter, "Why did you hug that teacher? Do you want her to be your new mom after work?" I happily bought fruits and went home. As soon as I walked in, I saw my daughter Emily curled up in the corner. There was blood dripping from her mouth. Her face was swollen like a red apple. I hurried over. I scooped her up in my arms. "Baby, what's wrong with you?" Emily is holding back tears. She looks up at her dad and says, "Someone bullied me." Her little finger points to the room. Mom suddenly lost her temper just now. The fruit in my hand fell to the ground. Suddenly, a bad feeling surged in my heart when I found Samantha. She was lying on the bed crying. Her eyes were severely swollen. Although I was worried about my daughter, I still gently hugged her shoulders and asked, "Samantha, what happened?" She suddenly sat up and slapped me hard across the face. Her gaze stared at me like I was an enemy. I was stunned for a moment. "Samantha, what's wrong with you? Why did you suddenly hit me?" she shouted emotionally. "Liam, don't think I don't know what you've been doing outside." I was completely confused. Am I not just earning money outside? What else could I do? She frowned. She said angrily, "To make money isn't making money just to support those unsavory people outside. I work hard every day to earn money. Who is it really for? I'm doing all this. Isn't it all for our family?" I feel particularly wronged inside, for her. For this family, I work 2 to 3 jobs every day. I only sleep 5 hours. But she not only doesn't understand me, she also intensifies the pressure on me. On my way home from work, I pass by the fruit store, noticing that she has been in a bad mood these days. I specifically bought fruit for her. "Liam, what you're doing, isn't it just because you feel uncertain?" Samantha was very emotional. I had no idea how to explain to her. Samantha and I were university classmates. I spent a year pursuing her. We finally came together. 1 year after getting married, we had Emily. At that time, I thought I had a happy family. So I took special care of Samantha. But I was wrong. As my income increased, Samantha became increasingly insecure. She always overcomplicated the little things in life, thinking that I had fallen for someone else. To express my feelings for her, I sent flowers, clothes, and bags. I gave her everything, but each time, it didn't achieve the effect I wanted. Emily stood at the door, curiously watching us. Suddenly, Samantha lost control of her emotions. She grabbed her phone and threw it at Emily. This child, you're still young, yet you're quite cunning. Don't stare at me." The phone holder hit the door frame heavily. It made a loud noise. "You're so manipulative, so good at acting. It's really speechless." I'm completely shocked. How did she become like this? Where did the gentle, kind girl who understood how to care for others go? How could she say such things to her own daughter? "Samantha is still talking. You naughty girl." That sentence made me very angry. I couldn't hold back any longer. I grabbed her hand. "Enough, Samantha. What's wrong with you? Why are you treating Emily this way?" Samantha broke free from my hand. She said, "That's right. I just don't like her. I just don't like her. She doesn't deserve it at all. She's as vulgar as those indecent people outside. She's completely lost her mind." Samantha pointed at the marketing video on her phone, excitedly said, "Look, in this news, the daughter supports her husband in getting a divorce, marrying a teacher." I was completely confused. What's going on? In the tweet video, the female lead cries and says her husband is having an affair with the kindergarten teacher, but her daughter supports the divorce, and then marry that teacher. "Liam, come take a look at this." Emily's kindergarten teacher posted a photo in the group. She's standing in the middle, holding Emily. She also added a caption saying, "Today the sun is really nice. The little kids are all very well behaved." "This is simply hinting at you," I said helplessly. "I don't even know what Emily's teacher looks like. What could there be between us?" Isn't Aunt Lucy the one who takes Emily to and from school? Then why is Emily always holding her hand? Samantha suddenly rushed towards Emily, grabbed her ponytail, pulled her down from the bed. You want that woman to be your new mom? I'm asking you a question. She angrily slapped Emily. Emily cried and rushed into her arms. Mom, don't hit Emily. Samantha yanked at Emily's hair forcefully. Why are you so disobedient? It's really unbearable. Babysitter Aunt Lucy quickly came over to mediate. Ma'am, you have misunderstood. Don't think I am unaware of what you're doing. Haven't there been enough cases in the news of nannies getting involved with their employers? Samantha glared angrily at Aunt Lucy. Speak. You're already so old. How dare you steal my husband? After saying that, she slapped Aunt Lucy again. I quickly ran over and stood in front of Aunt Lucy. Enough. Samantha, what are you doing? Aunt Lucy said with tears in her eyes. Sir, I'm truly sorry. I can't take it anymore. Aunt Lucy has been taking care of Emily since she was born. Usually, Samantha always suspects that Aunt Lucy has ulterior motives towards me. Several times I felt like they were about to come to blows, but it's for Emily. Aunt Lucy has been holding back. I didn't expect Samantha to actually take action this time. Mr. Liam, Aunt Lucy said, crying, I'm getting old. It doesn't matter how much money I make anymore. I'm here because I can't bear to leave Emily. But if you continue to make a fuss like this, it will only hurt the child. I'm sorry, Mr. Liam. I really can't continue anymore. After she finished speaking, she turned and left. I wanted to stop her, but I also understand Aunt Lucy's situation. Since her husband passed away, she has been living alone. Later, a distant relative introduced her to a new partner. After a few meetings, both felt they were quite compatible. Samantha has been causing trouble in between. In previous instances, she threatened to quit. I had to talk her out of it with great effort. But now Samantha actually hit her. I really don't know how to keep her anymore, because I can barely stand it myself. Samantha's suspicion and controlling behavior are getting worse. She not only doubts me, but also suspects Aunt Lucy Emily, the preschool teacher. She even thinks that I have other motives for calling her every day. Sometimes I even wonder if she has a mental problem. Samantha uncontrollably hit her own face hard. She shouted, It's all my fault. I can't keep you. I'm really useless. I quickly grabbed her hand. I advised, Don't do this, Samantha. She suddenly fell into my arms, crying very sadly. I held her tightly, whispering comfort, Samantha, don't cry. She suddenly pushed me away, rushed in front of Emily, and slapped her hard. You little girl, who told you to hold someone else's hand? You can't do that. I've decided to have a serious talk with her. The next day, I purposely left work early. Passing by the flower shop, I ordered a bouquet of flowers. The clerk asked me how many flowers I needed. I thought for a moment. I want 999 flowers. The clerk was surprised and said, Wow, sir, you are really romantic. I responded with a bitter smile. Romantic? Don't joke around. My wife is almost suspecting I'm cheating. How can I have the heart for romance? However, I think we can still try a little harder. After all, Emily is still young. For the sake of the child, I'm willing to lower my stance a bit more. For the sake of the child, I'm also willing to give Samantha another chance. I got home before the bouquet. As soon as I walked in, I heard Samantha on the phone in the room. Jacob, you think Liam really cheated? I was completely stunned. She mentioned Jacob. Could it be Jacob? Jacob was our classmate in college. He used to like Samantha, but at that time, Samantha was devoted to me alone. She never paid any attention to him. Then somehow he became a good friend of Samantha's. After graduation, we lost touch. Today Aunt Lucy is throwing a fit again, saying she wants to resign. I suspect she has something to hide. I always feel like she's unreliable. Liam will eventually have problems. I watched that short video you sent. The girl in it looks too much like Liam. She even said her dad would come pick her up on a rainy day. Liam never picked Emily up from school before, but recently he has been taking the initiative to pick Emily up from school. This clearly shows he's feeling guilty. I was completely shocked. I didn't expect this. The troubles Samantha is facing. It turns out Jacob was manipulating everything behind the scenes. I'm feeling a bit sad inside. To prevent Samantha from overthinking, I've been trying to avoid doing anything that might cause her misunderstandings. Even female colleagues added me on WeChat. I rejected them all, yet she still misunderstood. I tried every possible way to keep her away from certain things, but Jacob told her everything at once. Now how am I supposed to explain this? I suddenly realized. Recently, Samantha has been using her phone to record videos of Emily. It turns out she was looking for so-called evidence. Samantha had just hung up the phone, and then she sent me a message. "Tonight I'm going to get my hair done. I'm not coming home for dinner." Just then, the flower delivery person arrived. Seeing the large bouquet of flowers behind me, Samantha was momentarily stunned. She then frowned and asked, "Liam, why are you making such a big deal out of this? What exactly are you trying to do?" "I specifically left work early. I bought a whole bunch of flowers. I just wanted to surprise her. I want to tell her, no matter what happens, I love her. But now, it's all over." I'm completely confused by Samantha. I managed to force a smile. "Say it, it's nothing special. I just wanted to catch you off guard." Samantha scoffed. "Surprise? Liam, you think I would believe that? You bought so many flowers. Isn't it just to cover up what you've done? Let me tell you, I know everything." After she finished speaking, she turned and walked away. I hesitated for a moment. I decided to quietly follow her. I saw her drive to a hotel. Just as she arrived at the hotel entrance, Jacob walked over. They embraced tightly. Samantha cried as she threw herself into his arms. Liam has changed his heart. He actually went to pick up his daughter from school in the car. I clenched my fists tightly. She even gets jealous of Emily. Jacob wrapped his arm around her shoulder. He comforted her. "Don't worry, Samantha, I'm here for you." Samantha leaned against him. She whispered, "Jacob, I'm glad you're here." I stared at the scene before me. It felt particularly uncomfortable in my heart. I used to think Samantha loved me very much, but now it seems she actually liked Jacob a long time ago. No wonder she's been so restless lately. It turns out it was all Jacob's fault, and I was kept in the dark. I foolishly took care of her. I sat in the car. My heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. I just can't understand. All these years I worked hard just to give her the best life. But she not only doesn't appreciate me, she is also hiding her relationship with other men from me. I sighed. Maybe this marriage really should come to an end. I sent a message to my parents, asking them to come help me pick up Emily. Then, I just sat in the car waiting. After Samantha and Jacob came out, it wasn't long. They left the hotel far away. Samantha nervously protected Jacob. Jacob hid behind her. He looked very scared, like a weasel that stole a chicken. Seeing them like this, I couldn't help but snicker. I opened the car door, got out, and ran into them. "This is what you call getting your hair done. How did you end up at the hotel? Liam, are you following me?" Samantha asked directly. Jacob, hiding behind her, shouted, "Liam, we were at least college classmates. You've been following us. Isn't that a bit inappropriate? If you have the ability, come to me openly. At most, I can treat you to a meal and that's it." I couldn't help but laugh. "All right, I'll prepare a special gift for you all." Samantha quickly explained. "Liam, don't get me wrong. Jacob and I are just ordinary friends." I interrupted her. "Samantha, let's get a divorce." I spent the whole day thinking about how to bring it up with her. I had a lot to say initially, but in the end, I could only say this one sentence, because I realized, in the face of her incomprehensible behavior, I really didn't know what to say. "Liam, don't rush. Listen to me." She tightly grabbed my arm. "Things are not as you think." "Oh," I coldly smiled. "What is going on?" "Liam, don't do that. I'm really scared." She was so anxious that tears were about to fall. Jacob kept chiming in from the side. Yeah, Liam, we really have nothing going on. I just noticed she wasn't in a good mood, so I took her out for a meal." I looked at the two people in front of me. It was both infuriating and amusing. "All right, then you all take your time eating. I'm leaving first." Samantha shouted anxiously. "Liam, don't go. Let's get a divorce." I looked straight into her eyes and said seriously. Samantha was momentarily taken aback. "Divorce? Liam, don't joke around." Jacob was helping to speak from the side. I interrupted him. "I'm serious. You can take half of the assets, but Emily has to stay with me." Samantha suddenly panicked. She hurriedly shouted, "Liam, calm down. Do we still have feelings for each other? How can you mention divorce so easily? I feel really sorry for her. I've been working hard all these years just to give her a better life. She actually hid from me that she had a relationship with Jacob. Now she's divorced. She even comes to ask me if there are still feelings. What does she think I am, Samantha?" I tried to hold back my tears. I said to her, "Haven't you figured it out yet from the moment we got together? You never intended to be serious with me. You just wanted a partner to settle down, to start a new chapter in life. This person could be me, or it could be someone else. As long as it's useful to you, you actually don't love anyone in your heart. You only love yourself." After saying that, I left without looking back. Samantha is crying sadly behind me. I didn't turn back, because I know in my heart this marriage is beyond repair. They walked out of the hotel together. Jacob hid behind Samantha. He looked a bit scared. Samantha stood in front of him, like a hen protecting her chicks. I let out a cold laugh. I returned to my parents' house. I simply organized my luggage. Then I moved over with Emily. After I had settled everything, I took out my phone to check. The screen showed dozens of missed calls and messages from Samantha. She repeatedly explained in the messages that there was nothing between her and Jacob. She also said that the person she loves in her heart is me. I didn't say anything. I just picked up Emily, watching her nestled in her grandparents' arms, looking so at ease. I felt a pang in my heart, and tears nearly fell. I have been working hard to make money. I want to give her the best life. But I didn't expect that. This was just my one-sided thought. Samantha's heart has already changed. She doesn't even care about our daughter, Emily. She actually used our own daughter to spite me. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would have never believed she could be so cruel. I held Emily in my arms and softly comforted her. "Don't be afraid, Emily. Daddy won't let Mommy hurt you anymore." The next morning, Samantha took Jacob straight to my parents' house. They live in an old neighborhood. The building number and the door number are easy to find. Samantha and Jacob arrived quickly. They weren't here to reconcile, but to question me. "Liam, you're being too calculative." Jacob spoke first. "You're getting a divorce over such a trivial matter. Do you even act like a man anymore?" I scoffed. "Jacob, you stole someone else's wife, and you don't even have the courage to admit it. You even deserve to be a man." Samantha cried very sadly. She grabbed my mom and said, "Mom, look at him. I've been married to Liam for so long. How can he casually say he wants a divorce? Jacob is my best friend. Doesn't Liam know this after all these years?" I saw someone online say, "Liam cheated, so he turns around and blames me." My mom is caught in the middle, feeling torn. "Mom, you should go back to your room and rest. I'll handle this here," I said. My mom nodded and turned to leave. Samantha was unwilling. She stopped my mom and said, "Mom, Liam cheated. Don't you care about this?" My mom was suddenly stunned. "Cheating?" Samantha said aggrievedly. "Mom, please don't hide this for him. I know you are not very satisfied with me, but no matter what, I am still his wife. How could he treat me like this?" She shouted at her mom, "Mom, you have to help me." And then she suddenly sat down on the sofa and started wiping her tears. My mom has a gentle personality. She has a particularly good temper. Faced with Samantha's accusations, she could only smile awkwardly. "Little Samantha, my mom said softly, "Liam would never do such a thing. There must be some misunderstanding between you two. You just need to talk it out." Samantha still wouldn't back down. "Mom, how can you say that? Is it because I am an outsider? You would also side with an outsider." "Mom, how can you speak up for an outsider?" My mom hesitated, not knowing what to say for a moment. Samantha is still browsing various information online. She keeps mumbling, "Once a man has a wife, he forgets his mother. You see that, right? Once a man has a wife, he forgets his mother." "Mom, the information online is all true." Jacob added from the side, "That's right. I heard some husbands use the mama's boy tactic to please their mothers-in-law." Samantha suddenly understood. "So that's how it is. Liam, you did really well." I looked at these two ridiculous guys in front of me. It's really both infuriating and funny at this moment. I finally understood why Samantha has become like this now. Jacob knows how to influence others' thoughts. He specifically selected some female cases that are easy to resonate with. To influence Samantha's thinking, the women in these cases are all very sensitive. Looking back now, he may not be doing this for the first time. Right after we got married, Samantha was relatively friendly towards my mom, but I don't know when it started. She suddenly changed. She began frequently watching various videos online about difficult mothers-in-law. Right after Emily was born, the doctor told her not to eat salty foods. My mom was worried that she wouldn't get used to the confinement meals, so she specially cooked a salt-free meal herself. I went downstairs to buy takeout. I had just brought the takeout back. Samantha then fixated on the mapo tofu my mom made. She knocked the bowl out of my mom's hands. She questioned, "Mom, what are you doing? I can't even touch salt. How could you eat mapo tofu in front of me? Do you think I can't cook?" My mom carefully took care of her during the confinement period, but she just complained to me. She even quoted a saying from the internet, "It's better to marry your mom than to marry a wife." She says I'm a mama's boy. She saw that my mom wasn't helping her. She got angry. She grabbed a nearby stool and threw it at me, but unexpectedly the object didn't hit me. Instead, it accidentally injured my mom. I saw my mom fall to the ground. I quickly called 120 and reported to the police as well. I told him, "You are really unreasonable." Samantha cried even harder. She yelled, "Liam, how could you call the police? I'm your wife. How could you call the police to arrest me?" I smiled and said, "Samantha, stop pretending. You injured someone. Shouldn't you be arrested?" She was completely stunned until the police car arrived downstairs. She finally came to her senses. "Liam, you really went through with it." I shrugged. "Go ahead. What else could I do? Do you think I'm just saying this casually?" "Samantha, don't get ahead of yourself. You think you're so great. Just because you're a woman does that mean you can hit people at will? I'm telling you clearly, this is intentional harm. You believe it, you will spend the rest of your life in prison." Samantha's expression suddenly turned grim. Jacob had already escaped. Before the police arrived, he had quietly slipped away. "Liam, are you crazy?" Samantha shouted loudly. I smiled and said, "Samantha, you're the one who's crazy. Intentional injury, at least 3 years in prison, and my mom is still in a coma. Samantha, you really got yourself into big trouble this time." Samantha was completely panicked. He shouted in a hurry, "Liam, you can't treat me like this." I smiled and said, "Why not? Is it just because you are a woman?" "Sorry, I only recognize the law. In the eyes of the law, everyone is the same." Samantha was sitting on the sofa. She said coldly, "You dare to hit someone, then be prepared to go to jail." She hadn't come to her senses yet. She never expected that I would actually call the police. By the time I arrived at the police station, Samantha was almost picked up by her parents. Her parents blamed me angrily. "Liam, how could you call the police? We are all people who value face. What you did will only bring shame to our family. Even if Samantha was at fault, you shouldn't have called the police." I smiled and said, "Uncle and Aunt, you really have status, so can you just hit people at will? Moreover, this matter was clearly Samantha's fault first." That's what I said. I took out my phone. This is a recording I made secretly yesterday. Samantha and Jacob were on a date at a hotel. I recorded it quietly. The recording clearly captured their conversation and the unspeakable things they did in the room. Samantha's parents were extremely angry. They never expected their beloved daughter would sneak off to a hotel with another man behind her husband's back. "Samantha, you are truly disappointing." Her dad was so angry that he raised his hand to hit her. Her mother kept persuading her, "Don't be angry. Calm down a bit." I smiled. "Let's talk. Uncle and Aunt, you should calm down as well. Samantha, you should just go ahead and file for divorce with me soon." Samantha continued to speak. "As for Emily, don't think about it. She still wants to argue." "Liam, you can't treat me like this." My dad shouted loudly. "That's enough." He walked over. He grabbed Samantha's hand and said, "Come home with me." The next morning, I found Samantha sitting in the hallway of my house. In fact, she had arrived the night before. I didn't open the door before the divorce. I didn't want to see her again. Samantha stayed in the hallway all night. The next day, as soon as I stepped out, she suddenly rushed over and hugged me. "Liam," she said while crying, "let me see Emily. Is that okay? I'm her mother." I smiled and said to Samantha, "Don't rush. Calm down. Emily has already seen the doctor. She has quite a few bruises on her. She might not want to see you." Samantha was completely stunned. Her eyes were vacant. She looked as if she had lost her soul. A long time passed. Suddenly, she burst into tears. "Liam, I was wrong. We're not getting a divorce. Is that okay? Actually, I never liked Jacob. I just felt a bit insecure." I smiled slightly. "Say it." "Samantha, what's the point of saying this now? All these years, I've worked hard to make money. I never treated you poorly. What about you? You not only always made things difficult for my mom, but you also hit her." "Samantha, how can you do this to me?" She cried even harder. She shouted loudly, "Liam, you have to believe me. I really didn't mean to hurt Mom. I was just influenced by Jacob. Those short videos say, mommy's boys rely on their wives to succeed. I was impulsive at that moment, so I got together with Jacob. Now I understand. Liam, let's start over." I looked at her. Her face was full of tears. I was both angry and found it a bit amusing. I've been working hard to earn money all these years. In the end, she said I owe my achievements to her. How does she really see me? "Samantha." I tried to hold back my tears. "Calm down first. It's impossible for us to reconcile now. As for those short videos you mentioned," I just smiled. "Haven't you heard the saying, couples are like birds in the same forest, but when disaster strikes, they fly away separately. Now we're divorced. It's a kind of liberation for you as well. At least you don't have to think about those worries anymore." Samantha was in tears. She shook her head and said, "Liam, I don't want to let go. I don't want a divorce. I swear from now on, I won't watch short videos anymore. I swear." I smiled, speaking to Samantha. "Don't you understand yet? Even if you don't actively watch, others will still share information with you. Moreover, I've had enough of you long ago." Samantha shook her head and cried, "No, it's not like that. Liam, you have to believe me. I really never thought about getting a divorce. I'm just deceived by Jacob." I sighed, speaking to Samantha. "Don't you understand yet? Every video Jacob showed you, you believed without doubt, and took it as if it were a decree. But have you considered, what if Jacob has ulterior motives?" Samantha was taken aback. She clearly hadn't thought about this issue. She insisted on saying, "Not at all. Jacob just simply shared things with me. It's my fault for not thinking too much." I smiled slightly. "Samantha, calm down for a moment. As for Emily," I sighed, "go ahead. She doesn't want to see you right now in the next few days." Samantha did not appear in front of me again, but she did not give up. She directly went to the kindergarten to pick up Emily. Then he took her shopping at the mall. Emily felt scared. She secretly sent me a message using her watch. "Dad, come save me." I immediately put down what I was doing. I rushed over. I took Emily. Samantha said somewhat shyly, "Liam, you see, Emily is still closer to me." She actually said these words at such a time. It's really speechless. However, fortunately, she didn't continue to bother me. I didn't say much more to her. I just took Emily home directly. Samantha didn't stop me either. She even handed me the clothes and shoes she bought for Emily. She kept mumbling, "Look at you. I understand in my heart. The clothes the child wears are indeed not very suitable. When Emily was at my mom's house, the clothes were all chosen by me. I liked to dress her up like a little princess, but she wasn't happy about it. She said kids don't need to dress too beautifully. I don't want to force my aesthetic on the child. Even after the divorce, I still don't want my daughter to go back to her side." Samantha bought a whole bunch of clothes for Emily, but Emily can't wear any of those clothes. Take this little wool sweater for example. Emily is allergic to wool. Most of the slightly better clothes are made of pure wool, and those cheap street market goods. Emily feels like she can't wear them out, so she can only look at these new clothes, but she can't fit into any of them. I understand in my heart. Samantha doesn't really care about Emily. She just wants to show me how responsible she is. But her sense of responsibility completely disregards Emily's actual situation. This is truly ridiculous. Days later, Samantha called me. She told me about a college reunion. She got drunk. She can't drive. She asked me to pick her up. I said irritably, Samantha, we are already divorced. She pouted on the other end of the line. Oh dear, just do me a favor. The classmates are all having fun. If I don't go, they will definitely make fun of me. I sighed helplessly and asked, Samantha, what exactly do you want to do? She still insists. She said with a pleading tone, Liam, just help me out, okay? I promise. This is the last time. I said with a smile, Samantha, don't joke around. We've already divorced. Besides, isn't Jacob over there? Why didn't he come to pick you up? Samantha said confidently. He's a guy. What if he takes the chance to get handsy with me? I chuckled. Samantha, you're being really double standard. You'd rather let Jacob take advantage of you than let me help you. Samantha shouted excitedly. Liam, that's great. Then come pick me up. You're so nice. I'll send you my location right away. She hung up after saying that. I looked at the location on my phone. I sighed. If only I could choose. I really don't want to have anything to do with Samantha anymore, but since she found me, I can't pretend I didn't hear. Besides, if her classmates knew we were divorced, who knows what rumors would spread. I quickly drove to the restaurant downstairs. By the time I arrived, Samantha's classmates had already dispersed. When they saw me come to pick her up, they all started teasing. Oh dear, Liam is still taking care of you. Huh, it seems like your relationship has always been quite good. Samantha got into the car with a flushed face after I dropped her off downstairs. I immediately turned and left. I had just gotten in the car. Samantha followed me in. She was no longer as assertive as usual. She seemed particularly gentle. She reached out and hugged my waist. Then she kissed me. I was taken aback for a moment. Samantha gently touched my face, called out, Liam, she said in a sweet voice. Stay tonight, okay? I looked at her. She truly is charming. It's really both frustrating and amusing. On the way home, I received a call from Emily. Dad, Emily's voice sounded a bit tired. She asked, when are you coming back? Then she said, I want to wait for you to come back before sleeping. I sighed and said softly, be good, Emily. Dad will be there in just one more intersection. You should go to sleep with Grandma first. Okay, Emily sighed and said, all right then, Dad. Hurry back, okay, I replied, and then hung up the phone. Just hung up the phone. A car suddenly crashed into me. I was pushed forward by the tremendous impact. The steering wheel lost control. The car was thrown directly to the roadside. Suddenly, the airbag deployed instantly. It hit my head hard. I immediately felt dizzy and disoriented. The scene before me began to blur. Until that moment, I realized I had been in a car accident. Before I completely lost consciousness, I heard Emily screaming on the phone, Dad, Dad, come back quickly. I wanted to respond to her like this. Suddenly, a rush of rusty-tasting blood surged up from within me. It rushed straight to my throat. My consciousness was instantly overwhelmed. I fell into darkness. When I woke up again, I found myself lying on a hospital bed. Samantha was lying beside me. Tears flowed uncontrollably. I hadn't had a chance to speak yet. Then the police walked in. Excuse me, are you MTK Samantha? The police asked. Samantha quickly looked up and answered, I am. The police nodded. Go ahead. Let's go with us for a moment. We heard about the driver Jacob. You know him, right? Samantha was completely stunned. She unconsciously looked at me. I said coldly, Samantha, do you have anything else to say? Samantha hurriedly shook her head and said, no, it wasn't me. This has nothing to do with me. But she was still taken away by the police. Later I found out. I was driving normally at that time. Suddenly, a car came rushing towards me in the wrong lane. It crashed directly into me. Fortunately, the airbag deployed in time. Otherwise, the outcome could have been severe. The driver who hit the person turned out to be Jacob. He fled the scene right after the accident. He collapsed by the roadside due to drunkenness. When he woke up the next day, he had already been arrested by the police. Jacob was sent to jail. He will serve at least 3 years. When Samantha heard that Jacob was arrested, she finally realized the seriousness of the situation. She felt very regretful because the person she had been looking forward to was locked up like this. She kept delaying the divorce agreement with me. She also made various excuses to try to keep me. In the end, I had no choice but to take her to court. The court ruled that Samantha and I would divorce. The child, Emily, would be under my custody. Samantha only received a small portion of the assets. Since then, I have not seen her again, until Emily's 8th birthday. We ran into her at a restaurant. She no longer works in social media. In the end, she became a waitress at a Western restaurant because she hasn't received much education. She couldn't find a better job. Plus, Jacob was locked up. She lost her other sources of income. Emily works part-time at the restaurant to earn money. When she saw the other person, she showed absolutely no emotion. She continued to eat her steak calmly. I asked her, "You want to talk to your mom?" Emily shook her head and said, "No, I don't want to, Dad. Let's go." I sighed. I took Emily out of the restaurant. Since then, I excluded Samantha from Emily's life again, since she had hurt Emily before. I felt there was no need for her to reappear in Emily's world.